Okay, we're gonna get going on the public portion. We had a quick non-public. Start with department heads. Richard, do you wanna go first?
Sure, we'll go first.
We'll go to the other Richard.
We've been dealing with the storms, okay? I'm gonna meet this week with the guys to get the crack sealing lined up for the summer. Gonna meet with some of the paving guys, to get that lined up in the projects and giving them an idea where we're headed. We've been doing in between the storms, been doing a lot of limbing and tree cutting on the roads we're gonna work on this summer, plus some of the other stuff. And, you know, it's, the last couple of days, been trying to get all the waterways opened up for the rain that's coming. But it was kinda nice to see the rain instead of the snow. But we'll be in pretty good shape, they're saying pretty good rain.
Snow will be
today.
gone by June, so.
Yeah, we're lucky.
We'll be good.
No, but other than that, it's pretty good, things are going pretty good. No major breakdowns or anything like that, everything's going good.
It's always a good thing. Anything from the board for the road agent? Anything from the public for the road agent?
Thank you.
The road agent should
Thank
leave.
you.
No more questions. You can go.
Thanks.
Rich Colkett?
Everything's fine at the fire department, no issues, normal business. Next municipal committee meeting is Tuesday, the
Tuesday.
12th.
Yep.
Yep, Kyle Barker will be there. Mr. Frank is no longer able to continue as a secretary, so we'll take care of that.
So he's not gonna be
Mr.
there?
Secretary, right here.
We'll find someone, take care of that.
You have somebody in mind, correct?
I can handle that, that's not,
Okay,
but everything's going fine.
good.
Ward's meeting after this one tonight.
Anything from the board for the fire chief? Anything from the public for the fire chief?
What time is that meeting, Rick?
The board's meeting,
No,
or the municipal,
7.
7 o'clock.
That's what we've been doing,
Yep,
is 7.
At the fire
at the fire station,
Yeah.
yep,
On Tuesday, the 11th.
12th.
I think Tuesday.
Tuesdays, am I wrong? You're right, I'm wrong.
I read
I was
the
just
email.
checking you.
Yeah.
Usually
Make
they're
sure
the
we're not.
second Monday of every month, so it would have been the 10th, but Kyle Barker,
Yeah,
he
architect.
couldn't make it.
Yes.
Yep, the 11th, sorry.
Okay. All right. Parker, Recreation Director,
In between seasons right now.
this is your one quiet time, right? You get 2
Well,
weeks?
normally it's a good time because, you know, I'm doing spring cleanups and stuff, but that's kind of on hold. But I think hopefully by the end of next week I'll be able to get working.
You gotta rustle up some snowshoes for the bunny here in a couple of weeks, right?
No, it's gonna be gone. Next week's gonna be gone pretty good. There's not much frost in the ground. There's not any ice underneath it, so I think it's gonna go quick once we get to 70 degrees on Tuesday. But I've had softball registration. We had 16 or 17 sign up for that T-ball registration. They'll get going, weather permitting, as soon as they can. They'll get outside and get on the fields. Just the normal adult activities ongoing, scheduling games, scheduling umpires, just getting coaches.
What are the
lined up.
current adult activities? Because I don't remember.
We have Tai Chi, Living Strong, aerobics are ongoing, and we have the Squeaky Sneakers program. right
That's
now.
for the little kids, right?
Yeah, that's 18 months to about, the oldest we take is about 4 years, and that's ongoing right in the middle of that. That'll wrap up a little later than usual, which we lost some Thursdays because of the weather. But, that's a
We're done with the
10-month
snow
program.
from here on out, so.
Parker, can you just give that date again for the Easter egg hunt? Date and time?
It's the,
I know it's a Saturday
15th.
before Easter
15th, and it's noon time. Yeah,
at the Brett School.
yeah, always noon sharp, rain, snow, sleet,
Right.
shine.
You can't change the time because the rabbit's already committed.
And, it's on the town website, I believe, it's on the exchange, and in the school newsletters always. It's been for the last week or so, and it's leaving next week as well.
Anything else from the board? Anything from the public for the rec director?
Thanks.
All right. Jeff?
Everything's good at the rescue. Answering calls, doing training. I printed out copies of, just the statistics for the last 3 months of
Last
the
3
calls
months.
we've handled. Just gonna get records of, the trainings event that we've been doing for the last month, well, this year primarily. Try to get those to you by the next meeting.
Yeah. It's our fault we didn't keep up with it. Would you be willing, able to get back to giving us monthly reports like we got? Just to keep us in the loop so we know who's getting rescued. Anything from the board for the rescue captain? They're all the same, Steve.
Does Dan have?
I got one.
That's Kathy's.
Darlene have? No?
Anything from the public for Jeff?
I do have one question.
Yeah.
It seems like 6A1's doing a lot of covering for North Conway Ambulance.
We've only done one this year.
No. You've gone to Effingham, you've gone over to Madison
Nope,
for two.
not this year.
If you,
I can pull all the Tempsys logs if you would
all
like.
right,
Which
I know one was a sign off, I believe, in Effingham. In Madison, or I'm sorry, it was Freedom, not Madison, my mistake, I apologize. That
Go to
6A1 showed up at the same time, and North Conway showed up. And then the decision was made to use 6A1 versus Care Plus's ambulance. I'm just wondering why, when they're the paid service.
And at that point, the patient was already loaded, he just didn't sign off on scene. So we didn't want to jeopardize care by pulling out into the ring and the icy driveway.
Anything else for Jeff? All right, who else we got? We got all the department heads here. Chris, do you have anything to share with us from the Police Advisory Committee?
I'm a department?
No.
I know. You're here.
This is informational for the world because it's on tape.
Right, we don't want specifics, we just need to know, you know, that you have meetings coming up and that you're underway and stuff like that.
Okay.
So everybody can watch the video and,
Yeah, we are underway, and I didn't know you were calling me. I was gonna see where I am on the, where we are on the town website, but Darlene can help me. So, did Mel send you a list of dates?
I had the dates up on the website,
Right.
and you sent them to me, so
Right.
they've been up there over a week.
Right,
Things I
okay.
added now, to the calendar with the listening forums.
Right, okay,
And there is and I also had a sheet out in the front glass case
Great.
of all your meetings.
Okay,
So,
okay.
And I did interchange it with the one she sent me, because the listening forms were on the bottom of that as well.
okay.
So,
So, for the most part, we're meeting Monday nights, 7 o'clock at the Cook Library. And that is not the case the 17th, which will be the first listening forum, Runnels Hall, 6:30. There are 3 listening forums, the 17th, Monday the 17th, Wednesday the 19th, and Sunday the 23rd. A card went out to every resident,
Yeah, I received it.
right? Which is evidence that people have been working their butts off. And as we established last week, right, you guys approved our request to the Tamworth Foundation.
correct.
And they approved that grant and actually gave us 2,000 instead of 1,500. And that's where we are.
Good.
Is that enough? Is that good?
Anything
All
from the
right.
board? Anything from,
I'm assuming this is the last time I'm gonna see you here, except as a citizen and a taxpayer, because, you know, it's pretty much none of our business as to what happens until you folks are ready to make it, so.
Right, unless the group, the advisory committee wants
Oh,
us
yeah,
to come to
you're
ask
welcome, we're
questions.
just not gonna
Right.
make you show up
Right.
anymore. And you let us know what you hear at the listening forums, correct?
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
it's a great way to, you know, let folks in town
Yeah.
know what you're doing, which is,
Right.
you know, would be good for
Right.
town.
yeah. Yeah, people are welcome. People are welcome. Yeah, people are welcome. We don't have a lot of people coming to these meetings. People are welcome. Feel free.
It's a big, it seems a big deal to me, and it seems absolutely, the county commission notwithstanding, it seems absolutely the way to do it. And I'm pleased that you folks are doing it.
County commissioners have other stuff they can worry about. Pat Farley, Economic Development.
Yeah, let's see, there was a meeting of the Tamworth Visitors Council, which I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about, because it was a very big deal event.
Council or Bureau?
They've done it as, they've named it council.
Okay, because it was I was
I know,
making sure.
it used to be
Okay,
Bureau,
we
but
wanna
it's
get
now
it correct.
council. Right, anyway, there's gonna be a very large, important event that's gonna be going on the second week of May. And, it's gonna be 2 events, actually. It's gonna be the Tamworth Festival of the Arts, which is incorporating anyone around in Tamworth in whatever art form that they want to. But then, ongoing at the same time, almost, is what's called wet paint, whereby many artists from the east, but they all seem to be on the east coast more than anything, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Maine, whatever. So far, there are 17 that are signing up for this wet paint for a week. And that's gonna be, they're gonna be painting, and I don't think I need permission to say it, but I think that they're gonna be painting at the post office in South Tamworth. They're gonna be at the Warren-Lancet Chapel. They're gonna be at the park in Shikorowa. They're gonna be at the Bowditch Field one day. They're gonna be at the farmer's market. And so it'll be kind of really interesting. There's gonna be lots of different things going on. A lot of public's gonna be invited in the evenings, when some of the things that they painted that day will be for sale. So I think it'll be really exciting.
Good.
So I don't have anything about LRPC because that meeting is next Wednesday, so.
Date?
The dates would be, it ends on Mother's Day, so the arts festival starts the weekend before, and I just don't have the dates down. And the wet paint part starts on May 8th.
May.
Yeah. But there'll be things in the paper and stuff.
And if
So
you
that's
share it, we can put it on the town website as
Okay.
well.
That's just artists, that will be, that's just regular artists that will be painting in these areas? Is that-
Yes, but they're really great artists too,
Yeah, oh yeah, oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Well, we won't want the lousy ones
I
coming
know,
to town,
we-
Patty.
I
We'll
shouldn't
leave
have
that
said
up to
just
you,
artists, I mean.
Screen
Yeah,
them.
but what's really neat is that this is a Tamworth first. However, an event like this has been going on in Booth Bay Harbor for about 6 or 7
We already
years.
talked about that last year.
Yeah, and it's so, the person in charge of it is the lady who and her husband bought the preserve at Shikorowa. And so she's bringing the Tamworth version here, which is
Nice.
great for us.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Anything from the board for Pat? Anything from the public for Pat? Have I missed any department heads?
Sergeant Cooper.
Sergeant Cooper?
Another busy month at the PD. Handled one motor vehicle accident. It was a single vehicle, no injury. One abandoned vehicle, 26 assist citizens, one assist a motorist, 13 assist other agencies, including the Animal Control Officer, DCYF, Department of Health and Human Services, Campton PD, Ossipee PD, and Wakefield PD, as well as the U.S. federal courts. 3 community service, security for the voting polls and town meeting, and then I attended a Narcan in the community event that was posted here in town. I want to say a special thank you to Priscilla Remick for helping to set that event up. That was very informative. Court 3 times, directed patrol 12 that's in the school zone, and also Bear Camp Highway. 1 non-domestic disturbance. 1 equipment where I had to check all the PD AEDs. 5 follow-up investigations, 1 juvenile issue. 2 mandatory reporting for the Department of Safety. 1 medical call. 1 motor vehicle unlock. 6 motor vehicle speed enforcements where I placed the your speed sign is at different locations. I was kind of limited by some of the weather and other issues where I put it and it seemed like the snow would follow, so I didn't want it to get clipped by the plow.
Don't leave it out when they're winging the bang.
Yeah. 5 license, pistol license checks and related duties, 2 property checks, prosecution, 7 different events for that, including discovery for 2 cases I had that were pretty lengthy. 3 subpoena services, 3 suspicious activities, 1 theft case. I attended training and the chiefs of police meeting in Ossipee and district court, and 3 VIN verifications. For summonses, there were 4 issued, 1 on Pine Hill Road for unregistered vehicle, 3 on Tamworth Road for speeding, 3 motor vehicle warnings, 3 on Bear Camp Highway for speeding, 1 on Chicoro Road for speeding, 2 on Chicoro Mountain Highway for speeding, 3 on Depot Road, inspection violation, passing a school bus and speeding. 23 warnings on Tamworth Road, 1 for inspection, 21 for speeding and 1 for yellow line, and 1 warning on White Mountain Highway for speeding. Those are my stats. The Animal Control Officer assisted the fire department handled a deceased dog, 2 dogs at large, 3 follow-ups, 2 lost dogs, and then 1 motor vehicle accident involving a dog. For arrests, back to my stats, I had 2 arrests, 1 for unregistered vehicle and 1 for issuing bad checks. Those are PD and animal control officer stats.
Anything from the board for Greg? Dan?
Yeah, we need to bring up about the cruiser going back and forth to Wolfboro.
Yeah, keep everybody up to speed. It was brought up at town meeting, the issue of the cruiser traveling back and forth to Wolfboro. I'll entertain a motion from either of the others as to the approach we take if we're gonna look to stop that.
I make a motion that the vehicle stay in town.
I'll second that.
As requested by the voters at the town meeting.
Second. Discussion?
Yeah, I think it's premature to make this decision for a number of reasons. Number one, I think it's, the right thing to do is to follow the will of the voters, which is pretty clear at town meeting. And the whole thing was an issue for me a long time ago, and I got an explanation which may or may not was not from Sergeant Cooper, it's from somebody else. May or may not have the same weight as it did then. You know, the county commission notwithstanding, I think what we've done, what the folks at town meeting and subsequently taxpayers and residents, without the Board of Selectmen has done, is get input from the folks as to what the best solution for a somewhat tumultuous record here over the last year and a half in terms of policing in Tamworth. And, you know, we've got great cooperation from the sheriff's office, and there's just a huge, the spectrum of things that we hear, and I know that the committee's gonna hear more than the limited stuff that we hear, is huge. I'm not hoping, I'm expecting, only because I think it's the middle of the continuum, that folks would tend towards more, someplace between 0 and 6, which is the range we've heard. If that's the case, at least 1 and maybe 2 crews is gonna have to be available here, because some of those, the only thing we budgeted for is part-timers, and a part-timer is gonna have to show up in town and have a cruiser at the station available to them, which will mean that at least 1 and perhaps 2, depending upon how much part-time, if any, the committee recommends and we adopt, exists. The other thing is, rightly or wrongly, this was a term and condition of employment. When Sergeant Cooper was hired, and so I think it's, I believe we've heard his feelings about it, but no matter how it works out, and frankly, I'm pretty sure at some time in the near future, it's gonna be 2 votes to have the cruiser here for a variety of reasons. But I would think that if there's a change in terms and conditions, which involves transportation, you gotta give some lead time to the employee to prepare for that. So I think it's premature to make the decision, although come May 25th or shortly thereafter, unless the committee recommends something else from what we have heretofore learned, I'm pretty sure there would be 2 votes, maybe 3 for all I know, to have the cruisers stay in town.
Anything else?
I should make an amendment, we postpone the thing, but
You can,
I think I will, I'll hold off to hear what my brothers have to say.
have anything else to add, Dan?
I'm ready for a vote.
If you're gonna amend or pick some sort of effective date, now's the time to do it before we vote.
I'd like to postpone the vote until the till the, committees, the commission, whatever they are, is forwarded, which is another 2.5 months.
Are you putting that as a amendment to the motion, or should I be calling for a vote on the motion as she said?
That, I'd like to amend that in case anybody's interested. Darlene will say what I meant to say, but she'll say it in English.
You wanna second that, or we wanna go back and vote on the original motion, which is to?
I'm not seconding it, I wanna vote.
Alright, the amendment is gonna die, I'm not gonna second that one either. We've got the motion on the floor, at the table rather, we're not on the floor at town meeting here, to suspend the cruiser from leaving town as a commuter vehicle. Call for a vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed. I agree with you, Steve, we should, I understand the request on the floor, right now we have one person, been doing fine with one person, without even getting into the terms and conditions of employment. Right now, I wanna hold our ground where we're at. It hasn't killed us for 7-8 months here, another month or so is gonna make a huge difference.
And I do this with some hesitation because it clearly is the will of the legislative body, which we should not blink. And I would not blink it, except I need more time to vote yes. I think the department and the situation needs more time.
Okay, so wrapping up with department heads, Steve brought it up a couple of times that the county commissioners have had concerns about what's going on here in Tamworth as far as the police department's concerned. We are in receipt of a letter from the commissioners signed by Commissioners Babson and Hounsel, asking if we would like to set up a time and go meet with them. My personal feeling is I'm not up for meeting with them. If they have questions, they're more than welcome to come to our meeting. And as far as, their questions, I saw the video from you guys there. I kind of felt like they put Sheriff Achardi on the spot, who did a good job, defending what he does as the sheriff and what we're going through here in town. I'd much rather the commissioners came to us with their questions rather than try to go through Don. It's really not his place. Obviously, everybody knows where we're at. We've had changes in the last 1.5 years, 2 years, however long it's been in the police department. We are taking action, which may not be as quick as the commissioners would like, but we do have a plan in place. Chris Canfield's here as the chairman of the Police Advisory Committee. We're looking to get community input. I, for one, am not gonna jump to make any decision too quick. We wanna make the right decision, not a quick decision, and make sure we do what's right for the town of Tamworth. You guys have any further comments on
I was
this?
pleased that at least 2 of the county commissioners have spent a considerable amount of time talking to the folks in Tamworth, talking to you folks and other residents, taxpayers and citizens, to get, to have enough information to be able to form the opinion that the situation is, I believe somebody described it as sour, or dragging the feet, and I know that nobody would say that without having talked to a wide variety of people in town, so I appreciate you doing that. But I agree with Jim that maybe we can write a letter explaining what the process is in case they're interested. I'd also like to, get a lot of respect and appreciation for the sheriff's office. Related a story in a non-public about calling for some help in August or something, late at night, a couple of kids in a jam, little kids, and called 911, non-emergency, just needed some help, and sheriff showed up, granted, late, it was evening, well past anybody time, but he came from Eaton, and it took him 45 minutes to get over there, but he stuck with us for an hour and a half until the situation, and I think that's typical of the response that the sheriff's office offers the towns, including the towns that have 24/7 coverage. I think that's Wolfboro and Moultonborough, and appreciate the help, and I also appreciate the sheriff's patience with us getting it right.
giving more
So I think we
time.
should write them a letter.
I'm fine with, sending them that, and again, if they get more questions, they can find us too, I think.
I don't wanna
Right
make,
on
make
the
any,
subject of the commissioners. Okay. Covered all.
I
We
don't
got
wanna,
enough stuff going on, take care of our own business. All right,
I certainly would never make a personal comment, but I think Sam Graves might have been right about Dave Babson, but that's between Sam
I
and.
got no issue with any of them, I think they're fine.
Absolutely
I just think they
wonderful
got other
people.
stuff to worry about, and we'll deal with our own
Right.
stuff here.
Sam Graves is probably wrong, was probably wrong, and he's dead now, so.
As soon as the county's fixed, if we fix the town, until then, we'll do our own. thing.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, do we have anything further for Greg from the board?
To notice, a note of sarcasm here, which I think is inappropriate.
I thought it was more facetiousness on your part.
There it
You know,
is.
it's hard to tell the difference.
Whatever.
Do you have anything more for Greg? Is there anything from the public for Greg? Willie?
I will be commenting to the board, and public comment will be to do with the police department.
Okay, we'll get you in public comment then. Okay. All right. Administration, Diane?
Well said.
August, you got nothing? All right. Library trustees regarding the request for proposal for the roofing?
Yeah, I have that second revision. Darlene had a look at it and gave suggestions. This is prepared by Kip and Larry and myself. We used some other library project and municipal projects as a starting point, and then came up with the proposal. And I guess what we need to know is the time frame, whether we want to stipulate a complete date or not, and who, just logistics really. I'm not sure that needs to be discussed here. This will be posted on the library website and the town website. Darlene will send it out to where it needs to go, probably New Hampshire Municipal.
Yeah.
In the papers, so, this is for the library group. Okay.
The library.
The library group, yes. So, any questions?
Do you have any questions from the board for about the RFP?
I don't know the scene here, you have in here where they can pick this up. Is it in here?
Pick what up?
Pick this, the whole proposal up.
All right, so we're not
Yeah, either here or.
Is this right here? Oh, is it? No, that's where to send
Submit
it.
That's
it,
what
right,
it's sent.
submit
Oh,
it, so we
where
need
to get it.
where to get it.
Okay. They'll get it here
They
or
could
at the
be here,
library
or you could do
online.
it electronically, we can put it online or.
And the other question I had was, we were hoping that the library trustees would be involved with reviewing the proposals, especially Skip and Larry, that they would, they know more about the roof than anybody, I think, particularly Larry. So, it'd be really good to,
You could have pinned it all on Skip because he couldn't make it tonight.
he's sick.
That's usually how things go.
So that is in here, so.
That was the only thing you had was the way to pick up the forms, right?
Right, and then that would be opened at the next meeting,
Yeah.
so the 18th, if you added that in after the fact as well, so.
Are there any questions from the public about the library roof? You look like you're itching to ask a question, Becky. Are you just gearing up for public comment?
Nope.
No. All right.
I was trying to see the calendar, what day the 18th was.
It's right after the 17th, I think. Judith Reardon, about sidewalks.
Thank you. Chikara is still sort of finishing the winter of obstructed sidewalks, and it's again been kind of dangerous for people walking over the bridge to go to the post office or to the library or to Runnels Hall or to the Scandinavian Bakery, and for the customers and the tenants at the Murray's Treasures building and the guests at the farm stand B&B try to go through there, tourists try to look at the village and the park, and those of us with homes in the village and businesses along 16 have trouble getting through, and drivers have trouble avoiding the pedestrians. When the snow is piled up on the sidewalk, you have to stand in the road because the sidewalks covered with snow push you there. So it's an issue that I know Selectman Gray and Selectman Hidden have heard about, and probably Selectman Poirier as police chief heard about it too. I sent some materials that I tried to keep brief. Basically, the contracts that the town signed during the course of the village project that got more and more specific, that yes, snow removal is part of the town's responsibility. We all kind of wish it was DOT's responsibility, but the contract said it was the town's, and because the sidewalks were funded with a federal grant, the Code of Federal Regulations require them to be cleared. That's the memo in your packet from the Federal Highway Administration saying that it's not that the sidewalks have to be cleared the first minute that it snows or the first day that it snows, but for two reasons: because it's federal funded and because it's a handicapped accessibility feature, that they do have to be cleared. And then the other thing in the packet is sort of the plus side, that the state statute says, don't worry, once you're clearing the sidewalk, that you're going to be liable for not clearing it perfectly, because if you have a plan for clearing the sidewalks and you follow the plan, that protects you from liability. There was a case against the town of Tilton in 2009 where the town said, we have a plan. Our plan is that we don't clear sidewalks. And the New Hampshire Superior Court said, that is not a plan, sorry.
Well, right now our plan is they'll be clear by May.
Okay, and you're sending extra sunlight down.
Right, we need to be more specific though.
You do. And really, we've spent a few years talking to New Hampshire DOT, including the new guy Alan Hanscom, and we got some DOT folks, Hanscom and Nancy Mayville, and the local folks to come in May of 2015 and tried to talk about what can be done, and basically I think they're winging a little bit more on the west side than they used to, maybe sometimes, but their position is they can't and won't. The town needs to clear it. We've suggested some things about, whether a private company could be subcontracted, or whether the town has could have a snow blower to do it. David and Mary Thurston are here, who own Mari's Treasures, and Dave's been clearing it with a plain old snow blower right in front of their buildings so that their customers don't get zapped. That doesn't handle up to the post office or whatever, so we've still got a situation there. But I think, people want to help. There could be private contributions or private efforts, but even when we were trying to get quotes from private contractors to do it, those folks said, well, our insurance companies said that unless we're working for the town, we're not covered insurance-wise, so we don't want Chicora Community Association to hire us, even if that were something that we could feasibly figure out how to do. the contractors can't do it. So, some of our state representatives have talked with us and said, yeah, you're in the right, you know, do you have to start legal action against the town in order to get something done? And we really don't see why that would be, don't see why we couldn't work with the with the selectmen and get the situation worked on. But definitely we wanted to start this early in order to know when you could tell us what the plan is, or if there is a plan, because we need to find a way to get something done
So
for
we do
next
have,
year.
like you say, we get a good gap till next winter, why don't we
Right.
do some more looking and figuring? Now, it sounds like you're speaking like the Shakora citizens would be interested in, you know, doing something to aid in this process.
I think that's, you know, that's something we should discuss. We, you know, our annual dues budget is like $800, so there would need to be a whole different approach in order to be able to help. But we, you know, we understand that it benefits Shakoroa Village, and so we'd like to figure out something.
Right. Let's make that one of our things to do as we go through the year here and figure, if you can figure out where the Shakoroa, you know, people are as far as helping, we can look in to see, you know, where we're at as far as ways to work around and work with the insurance in that. Because I understand what you're saying with the providers, they don't wanna work on a town responsible area without being hired because of insurance issues, so.
And I don't want it to become one of these, oh, I thought you were gonna get back to me first, and I thought I was, you know, you were gonna get back to me, no, you were gonna get back to me, no, whatever. Could you suggest like another meeting date where it would be sensible for us to come back and you would have had time to look at what your budget and expenses would do, and we'd be able
Right,
to.
well, I think we could
do
probably,
that.
yeah, we'll get you in just a second. We could probably kinda get an idea of where things were at, you know, maybe at our first meeting in May, we wouldn't necessarily be able to make a commitment financially, but see where you come up, as far as, you know, potential funding through the Shakora, and we'll see where we're at and where we can do to try to meet something. I mean, I understand everybody's concerned with the sidewalk, the flip side is it's really a very small amount of sidewalk, and it becomes a very big expense on the town, which is one of the sidelight benefits of the Shakora project, which is certainly no middle ground on. People love it or they hate it,
Yeah, right.
and that's where we're at. So,
And would the second meeting in May work also, cause our
Yeah.
association meetings are the first Monday of the month, so it would be a little.
yeah, that'd be-
Oh,
We're doing the second one then.
yeah, does that work for you guys? We'll
That'll be May 18th.
be
Can-
reaching out.
Can we meet also with the Jacora board?
Absolutely, absolutely. The first Monday of May, we will be meeting, and it'd be
I
wonderful
wouldn't
if
mind attending their
any
meeting.
of you
and,
want to come.
You know,
Yeah.
hear what they have to say about it.
Let's see.
When is it?
The first Monday in May is
Would that be the 8th?
yeah,
Yeah.
May 1st, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, the first. You write that down, Darlene?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you all gonna attend?
We better post it in case all of us make it.
Okay.
Better safe than sorry.
What time is it?
At 7:00 in the library, Chicago Library.
And that's in Shakora, Dan.
Where's Jacora?
Just up over the hill.
Way over the hill.
Way up, just up in there, man.
You can get public transportation.
My name's Dave Thurston. I own the building, the old 11 Rose Hall building, the white building on the corner.
Yep.
And it's my understanding when this project took place back 08 and forward, that when the selectmen at the time signed off on this, they were given the authority to the Chicora Village that they were maintaining the sidewalks. They were supposed to, under this, taking the money, this is what you gotta do for the money, and they did that. talking with state representatives, said that basically we need a firm commitment. So if you're saying the first or second week in May, we're gonna have an answer, that's fine. The village association is not interested in funding the sidewalks, as I have the last 2 years. There's over 1,000 feet of sidewalk in Chicora Village. I personally plowed that with my truck last year and been snow blowing it this year. Light snow. DOT has completely stuffed the corner where the stairs are to the mailbox, the post office, and that whole handicap area. And it's just like, I can't do this, and Pat came up twice, loader, because I have egress entrances that swing out. He buried my doors, I couldn't get into the building, because I can't go in the backside and push the doors open. So he came up, he said, I'll come up and help you out. He said, we're not in the business to move snow. He said, Tamworth's supposed to be taking care of this. I said, well, your TIF with Tamworth and my TIF right now is with you. So Pat came up, helped me out. So I could get a snow blower on the sidewalk because the snow was 6 feet deep. So, and my wife has pictures here, if you would like, the board would like to see them, what it's like after a 6 or 8 inch snowfall. So basically, it's not an issue of who's supposed to do what, when. Obviously, the town of Selectmen is supposed to be doing this for quite some period of time. And so, I'm standing here in front of these 3 selectmen tonight, and this is up to you to take care of. So when somebody gets hit and killed in the front of my wife's store, it lies on your shoulders. The liability, because you've been talked about and preached about this constantly. So, I know all these referendums and put it on the warrant articles, and basically, you 3 have to make a choice. And I want an answer in 30 days.
Well, I wouldn't guarantee we'd have an answer, but we are gonna.
Okay, but we need to come up with something. If we don't have an answer, because I'm not gonna wait till next fall, because then there's been talk about legal procedures against the town of Tamworth to basically, and this has been directed by some of our congressmen. That's how you need to get things done. So, I'm not trying to threaten you, I'm just saying that's the course of action we have to go. Like Judy said, we don't want to. You know, the past selectmen says at some point in time, we're gonna have to take care of this and deal with it. Now, I don't know if you guys wanna sit and watch somebody get killed on 16, now you can take and do something?
It's certainly not anything anybody wants. I mean,
Okay.
I understand your concerns with the sidewalk, and I understand Judith's concern, she's brought it up before. The flip side is, it's a huge expense, that's a byproduct of a project the town should have never touched with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
And so we're trying to deal with it, because the flip side that we look at is, because a board of selectmen 6 or 8 terms back made, in my mind, a mistake of going along with this project.
Correct.
We've taken ownership of sidewalk we never should have. You look at all sorts of other places that have sidewalks, to clean in front of the business is the responsibility of the business owner. But because of again, what I think was a poor decision, now we're trying to do, and we're trying to weigh the options. And for a number of years, there was little or no business happening at that building. I think it's awesome that you guys have a business, and that's obviously gonna force us to take another look at it. And
Actually, the conservatives moving into our building on the first floor.
good. And again, it's great that this stuff going, but that's part of what has made it easy to sort of get swept aside, is because for years there was little or nothing going on in that building. And I'm not saying right or wrong, it's where we're at.
So, we'd like to work with you, obviously, and basically, talking to the congressman, he said the liability lies on the town if something happens. But I don't wanna deal with my wife if somebody gets run over going into her store.
Right.
She's just gonna get devastated, close the building, it's not gonna happen. And then the liability does land on the town, unfortunately. So if we could
Unfortunately.
solve this together, unfortunately,
Yeah.
it'd be great. So, if you can meet the CCA in May, that's great. I mean, if not, we'll be back May. Just give me a time slot, Judy and I, and come up with an answer. But I was told to don't let this swagger. Give them 40 days, 45 days, 30 days. But let's get an answer. If they're not, then we need to go the other way. So, and I don't think I guess town's got a new council now. Maybe it's unfortunately, it has to be done.
I agree with the unfortunate, and I agree we probably do have to do it. Yeah, I mean, it's where we're at.
Can I just add one thing? I'm over and above the sidewalks. Is there any way we can work with the state on where they put the snow?
You can't work with the state on anything.
Okay.
The
Because that's really the main problem.
Yeah.
They're using that whole corner.
That's
To
not
put- to
true.
put
We have
every-
several local representatives that are fine, but unfortunately, they're outnumbered once they get to Concord. So our votes count about 40% of what they should.
Okay. I just mean, is there some way that we can at least find another spot for them to put the removal of all that snow?
You know, this is a complicated thing, and the first complication is, there's a clause in there, in the contract, which I saw substantially after it was signed for the first time, not by me. And I also saw the representative of the state DOT tell the selectmen that they could not change any terms and conditions of that contract with the contractor's permission. They couldn't do that together. And after he taught us that lesson, I think within probably 45 seconds, he altered one of the terms and conditions. So maybe the state has all sorts of power that, or it seems that they applied it, which sticks in the craw a little bit, but that's, I understand. The difficulty is that for us to do that, the time to have that done is after the plow's there, because the longer you wait, the heavier equipment that you need to do it. And the state can plow that sidewalk, we can get them to wing it, and all the snow goes up against your building.
Right.
But we cannot clear that sidewalk into the right of way. And we would not if we had the $50,000 worth of equipment, which in fact it would probably take, put it on your building, nor do we dump it into Chicago Lake necessarily. We would have to move that in a town that has a regulation against snow dumps. I mean, and none of it's, you know, overwhelmingly we can't do it. But there's a ton of stuff that has to be in there. Frankly, the way to do this, which would be horrendously expensive and probably not to anybody's liking, is to have somebody there for 12 hours with a wheelbarrow, because, you know, if you're not dumping a massive amount of snow, but, you know, you can't, it would cost us $1,200 a storm in order to do that. I believe that the state, even if we had to give up something else or trade something else about one of the roads that's a chunk of is owned by the state that they don't maintain anywhere as near where they should, something, the responsibility to shift. And as we all know, a major sticking point in town, which no matter how I try and explain this to folks, falls on deaf and irate ears, because people remember when this was passed, that it was not gonna cost the taxpayers, and et cetera, which was, I mean, can't do anything about it, what was either. Well, you know, it's just, the town of Madison in Silver Lake, right next door to you, state plows the sidewalks. Town of Ossipee, right next door to it, state plows the sidewalks. Yes, they do.
They deny it, they deny it.
Well, except they do that.
They must
on-
accidentally drop the wing where the sidewalk happens to be.
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
down at, you know, across from that smokehouse place, that, the state clip, seen them do it. And so, seen them do it. And that sticks too. And none of that's insurmountable, but we have to come up with a plan for all of these things. And an awful lot of them come back to money. So we're interested in working with you. We understand our responsibility. And if we thought we had a way to hang on that, unless it's financially impossible or whatever that clause is in the contract, we still wouldn't do it because, as you say, it's a matter of health and safety. And the whole project was supposed to be a health and safety thing, and we don't want to negate that. It's just, if District 3 would just do it our way. But I don't think they will. But absolutely, wanna do something about it, we know we should do something about it, and, just a bunch of stuff's been kicked around and laid too low a year ago, cause there wasn't enough snow to make it a big deal. This year was more typical, and it's a big deal.
Correct, and basically, to correct Jim on towns, businesses and clearing, Wolfboro puts out signs, right, the snowbank, clearing Wednesday night, no parking, they clear every street, sidewalk in the town of Wolfboro.
Again, I realize it varies from place to place.
Right,
but a
and I'm
lot of-
asking Tamworth to do back what they do, they take a sidewalk plow, put it right up the street, and they got the wheel loader, they dump it in the back of the dump trucks, and they take it out to a snow dump, actually out in the town shed. But they clear that at like 9 o'clock till midnight, like on a Wednesday or shortly after a storm. Because it's a hazard to people to park 4 feet off of the curb in their vehicle getting out, traffic going through town, and they're just asking for somebody to get hit. So that's why the town does that, basically that liability issue. But, you know, like you're saying, the business should be taking care of their own, they just sweep it out into the middle of the street and stuff, the town slip, do something about it.
And besides, you can't do that.
I know it's illegal to do it, there's an RSA, I don't know the number of it, but there's an RSA, you can't throw it back out in a public way.
No,
Cause that snow blow back out into 16.
we can't either.
Trust me, I would, but, I mean,
And I don't mean to make light of the thing, but it's a naughty problem, and we gotta do something about it, and I'm with you, we gotta do something about it.
sooner than later.
Fair enough.
That's my, and you're willing to meet in May, that's great.
Maybe we'll ask the road agent to,
I hope we don't get any more snow between now and then.
It actually, it melted quite a bit, so we have room to put a little bit somewhere.
Good.
I don't know where, but,
Just throw it straight up on the roof or something, it'll fall back in the other road.
no, it's bad. And unfortunately, the way Bergeron has drawn that up, my deed says pavement to pavement, but they basically cleared the right of way. So they own everything, or have a right of way, have every piece of grass I have growing, and all I have is my building left. I'm like, well, if you're gonna claim that as a right of way, then take care of it. And the DOT says, no, we're not.
That's part of what we've said to them before,
DOT
they
says
don't
it's
see
not
it
our
that
deal,
way.
the town accepted it, so we get, it's like a ping pong ball, it's going back and forth across the net. It's like, okay, can we do something?
Well, if you have a DeLorean, we can go back and unsign that paper from 10 or 15 years ago. That Shakoro project, I mean, it was well intended and whatever, but nobody's happy with it. The people that were in favor of it aren't happy because it didn't fully come to fruition, and the people that were opposed are mad that anything happened, so
Right.
it's been a headache for us. And the thing is, all three of us were not on the board when any of that happened, and so we're trying to pick the pieces up and try to make everybody as happy or less unhappy as possible about the whole deal.
I don't mind helping out, it's just, I don't think it's not my responsibility, unfortunately.
and we understand, and, I've been party to mistakes for however long I've been sitting here, but very few of them concerning health and safety. You know, we're pretty responsible about that, and we'll be about this, although this is not an easy one in terms of finances and logistics and a number of other things.
Where does all my taxpayer money go? Schools, or majority of those?
About
Has-
78% of it goes down there.
Has DOT ever come out and said they could reduce the money going to the town, you know, different penalties for not clearing the sidewalks? Have they gotten to that point with you guys? 'Cause they can get docked by the feds for federal things created with federal funds not being cleared, and presumably they would pass that downhill if,
It really gets passed down.
oh yeah. Thank you.
Let's see, cut the lights, the money we spend on the lights, put on the plots.
That's
It would be
my budget too.
wonderful.
That's in there too, you have to keep them on.
Well, we'd love to reduce the wattage of the lights, and it'd be great to pick that back up again as to how that could be done.
I was gonna say, you know somebody who started
I
looking into that for
do,
us, so
and
we'll get back onto that in the spring
yeah,
too.
that'd be
How's that
great,
sound?
yeah.
Maybe you can have something, and we can discuss that again in May when we're discussing the sidewalk issue.
Okay.
Maybe Shakora or Palooza there, so we'll take care of everything with that. Anything else from the board for
Could, Ms. Reardon,
Yes.
if you take this, it's not hush money. It's-
Oh, good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any further discussion on the Chicago sidewalks?
Damn pictures. Thank you.
Good job, Steve.
Of the dam,
Sorry?
of the dam.
Dam repairs, yes, dam repairs.
Damn good pictures of the
And
damn.
the,
Damn good pictures,
and the usual suspect.
exactly.
All right, David, you're on the schedule about encumbrances.
Right, so I was here a couple of weeks ago and I was asking questions about the funding for the Stony Brook Bridge, the Whittier Road Bridge over Stony Brook. And Darlene mentioned that Kathy had done some investigation, which indeed answered most of my questions. But I'm back with a couple of concerns and some suggestions. And both, basically my suggestions are to kind of either prevent the errors or catch them in quicker than 3 years, which is what it took us to find the last one. So I've been protesting the way the town handles encumbering funds for the last couple of years, and I'm back. Because I think this is a clear example of the town not following the RSA, is the straightest way I can say that. So to go back, in 2014, the town raised and appropriated $235,000 for bridge repair and reconstruction. And no work got done in 2014. So on December 30th of 2014, the town encumbered the $235,000. In 2015, no work got done, and you fast forward to December 31st, when the town did encumber $56,000, but nothing for bridge repair and reconstruction. So, as I understand it, those funds lapsed that day. The repair work did happen in 2016, and with Kathy's help, she identified the $263,976 that got spent on that. So the highway department was part of Article 6 that year, which raised $1.3 million. And those departments did a pretty good job of budgeting. They ended up with a surplus of $96,000. That doesn't include the bridge repair. So I believe that you're over $100,000 overdrawn on that account. And frankly, I don't know how DRA lets you get away with that, because I don't think you can spend more in one warrant article than's been raised or appropriated. And since that money wasn't encumbered, you didn't have the money to spend. Now, I'm totally, pardon?
I'm pretty sure we're covered, that's a recombering encumbrance.
No, I don't think that that's true, Jim. I think you're making fun of it.
I'm sure the numbers are right, I can't go back and undo what was done.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that I've objected in the past to the town not following the RSA on encumbrances, and I think this is a case where you did it again, guys. I'm in favor of the bridge being repaired. I've totally endorsed the town maintaining the infrastructure, but I can't endorse spending stuff you're not authorized to spend, which is what it looks like has happened here. So I have a couple of suggestions. The first is, there is a handbook put out by the Municipal Association, Basic Law of Budgeting, which I know the town has, and I would strongly urge you guys to read it, because as my high school teacher used to say, there will be a quiz. The alternative is...
You'll be back?
Pardon?
You'll be back?
No, you'll be back, but you will have municipal budgeting questions that you need to follow the RSAs on. And then the second idea that I suggested to Kathy when I spoke to her earlier this week was, somewhere in the town report have a page of encumbered funds from the prior year and the spending against them, and then what's encumbered for the current year. Because there's certain things that are baked into those town's finances before you ever get to town meeting, but they're not documented anywhere. So like the fire truck, we're gonna have a second payment for the fire truck next year that won't be in the warrant. People often have questions about, where do we get the money for that, or I thought we funded this, where is it in the budget? And it's not, because it's someplace else.
Well, the fire truck, for an example, that was done with that RSA through the CIP. It is noted in the warrant article, so somebody is doing their homework. I know what you're saying with the other
In next year's warrant, it won't be.
It will be
That's
in
my
the
point.
operating budget.
Right, but, and so my point is, there are certain things that are baked in before you ever get there, and it would be really great to document them so that people knew where the money was coming from, or if you're overspending, that there's no money there to cover it. Might have helped you guys out if you had something
I don't
like that.
disagree with you, and not to pat, Darlene and Kathy on the back, but they have done a good job. I mean, we are making progress and making changes, and hopefully everybody sees that things are happening a little bit
Oh,
differently.
I have great admiration
So
for what
I
you've
don't
done.
think this is falling on deaf ears this go around, so I think that is, gonna help.
Okay,
Stay with that example for, the rest of the fire truck will be in the fire department's operating budget.
but it won't be in the warrant.
No, it won't be in the warrant because the warrant's stated raised and appropriated, and that's done.
Right.
I mean, somebody can stand up at town meeting and deduct that to kill the thing.
No,
in
no, you
fact,
can't,
they
no, sorry, you can't. We got a 2/3 vote this year, you can't,
Oh,
you
yes,
can't not pay for it next
Just,
year.
you gotta help me out with reading 32.7A. Not only can you do it, you can do it easier than, but the RSA is based on the fact that if folks vote a 2/3 by 2/3 and commit the money, that they're not gonna change their mind the next year, or the year after that, or 4 years later, which you can do under 32.7A.
Okay, I'll go back and read it again, because I thought that.
You know,
once you voted-
I don't
It's
speak
like
lawyer.
it's like a bond, you have to pay for it.
I'm with you, but I don't speak lawyer, so I read the RSA, but then I go to the municipal association or DRA, that when they do their explanation of what that particular RSA means in, like, the way human beings talk. Lucid ones, not me, but, I think the CIP has a description of that, written by Municipal Association or OEP, one of the two, that is pretty specific about what can and can't happen in the ensuing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years, because you can do that up for 5 years. So it would seem to me that that would be in the operating budget. And if, because it was,
Right, but it can't be in the part that we're voting on.
what?
I don't think it belongs in the part that we're voting on, because the way the warrant article is written this year, we don't vote on it again. That's my understanding. I mean, but.
Are there other things like that?
Well, the encumbrances,
Yes.
that was the really point I'm trying to talk about, is the encumbrances.
So would that?
Right, once you vote on the encumbrance, once you vote on the funds initially, if you guys encumber it, you can spend it the next year, and you will, or maybe you won't, but we can go and look at the minutes to see what you encumbered, but we can't find out what you spent against those numbers without going and asking Kathy to do the research, which I think it's great that she can do it and does it, but I don't think it's very efficient. So I'm suggesting print it in the sheet, in the book, so that people know what got encumbered last year, what got spent against it, and then what's encumbered for the following year, so you know that's already baked into the spending.
I don't think that's a bad idea to put
Except-
the encumbrances in there.
Except the encumbrances are voted on before the budget hearing. And the budget hearing now in this town, there's ample time between publishing that and holding the public hearing, and that would appear in print on the budget. And you wouldn't know what you spent probably until the following December 31st, because if the
I think what David's
I'm not-
asking
I'm
for
not
is to
asking-
have what we've rolled over, say, the end of 2017 here, we might have $82,000 for a project. You want it to show in the town report that we've carried those funds over. You're not looking to know how it's been spent in the immediate, that would take care of itself in the following
No,
year's report.
so what I'm suggesting is that at the end of 2015, you uncovered $56,000. So in this year's town report, if you listed that $56,000, which was encumbered coming into the year, and what you spent against that, which unfortunately would also include the $263,000. But then people would know, because there's nowhere else to find where that spending goes to, right? They are in the vendor totals, but you can't match them up to
the expenditure budget, it's not in there.
You don't wanna see something appropriated, not spent, encumbered, and then just disappear from everybody's
Right.
view, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's reasonable.
But,
It's just something we've never thought of.
no, I know, well,
It's a good idea, though.
I'm trying to think, make
I say it's
suggestions
a good
that
idea,
we'll
but
catch
they're
it.
gonna do it.
We'll catch it sooner than 3 years later, because that, and we didn't really catch it, I mean, we made an adjustment, but we didn't really fix the original error.
Hmm.
But the other part is the financial reporting. So in the 2014 annual report, it listed 235,000 as budgeted and spent. But there's nothing in the vendor totals because nothing got spent that year. And then in 2016, the $263,000 is listed in the vendor totals, but it's not listed in the budget.
Shown.
So in both cases, it's like 10% of the budget, or 10% of the spending doesn't match up.
Not accounted for.
And so for the last 5+ years, I've been urging the selectmen to include a balance sheet and a schedule of income and expenses in the annual report. And if you had that, it's obvious that the things don't reconcile. You
A
can just
balance
take
sheet and what? I didn't hear the second
the
piece.
schedule of expenses
Oh, okay.
and liabilities. And there's a good example in the town report for the Cook Library on pages 42 and 43. They list the income and expenses, and then on the next page they have their balance sheet. And of course, you need 2 years. They only have 1 year. But if you had that, then it would be real obvious to anybody, or it would be real if anybody wanted to do the math, that there's 10% of the spending is not included. And you might catch it a whole lot quicker. So that's just my suggestion.
These are certain things that I know you talked to Kathy and I about, and we certainly will work on something, and like I said to you before, give us some suggestions and.
Right. Well, I've
Take your help.
been making this suggestion for a
No,
number
we'll
of
take some
years.
help, is I guess
And
what I should say.
it's not just a law, it's a good idea, because it would have
Right.
caught some of these things a lot
Right.
quicker. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Move on to our signature file, because I know that's what everybody's here for. I have the accounts payable check register in the amount of $273,859.85. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You get a fancy pen, your signature shows up better.
Steve.
Steve, you missed one side of that.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Checkmate payroll authorization in the amount of $28,424.18. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Intent to cut for 421 lots 1, 2, and 5, and 420 lot 10.
Second, if I haven't already.
Motion to accept, second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Intent to
Dan's-
cut,
Dan's gonna have to cast a vote on a monitor.
yeah. On the second sheet, you gotta, it's split there as to whether or not we send the monitor.
Can we discuss this? Why would you, what's the advantage of sending a monitor or not sending a monitor?
just to be random. I don't have a rhyme or
We
reason.
have been doing these fairly randomly.
Uh-huh.
Um, You know, sometimes folks sitting here are familiar with the logger or the forester or the property owner and know that the monitor has been there fairly recently or not for a long time. And so we kinda do it individually to, you know, I've got one here that it's only been 4.5 years, however long this has
Right.
been, but I've never seen their work or their yield tax come across, so I voted no on that one, cause the logger and the forester and the property owner's known to me and I've seen his work, but that's just a person, you know, I'm no expert. And this one, I've never seen anything, so I'm voting to have the monitor on this one. It really, you know, I asked the same thing for a long time, and there are towns who always send the monitor, and towns with, nobody ever sends the monitor.
Does it cost us to send a monitor?
Yes,
Yeah, but,
it's a yearly stipend.
yeah,
I
but
think
we
it's
have
about
one.
$1,200 in the budget, if I remember correctly.
It's really up to you.
Right.
It's not a wrong answer.
No.
You know, I just hadn't sent anybody out on
Th-
one
th-
of
This
their
next one I
prospective
think is
lots,
2-0,
so
so.
you don't have to vote on the next one.
Oh, good. I say no
Donnie's
then.
having a tough time with this one.
I say no.
Am I?
You just signed in the
It's
middle,
It's
right?
really just to make sure everybody's doing their job.
Okay, it's
That's
just,
all.
you know, that's why, you know,
That's not
even
a bad
someone that
thing.
we don't know
Loggers doing a good
anything
job.
bad about, we
I'm
just
still
do it every once
clueless,
in a while.
it's you know, I try to remember who we have, I haven't
Yeah.
seen, and the yield taxes, you know, if that's done and done
A
properly.
larger cut is typically more beneficial, but even a smaller one, send it out once in a while, just keep everybody honest.
It's not a bad thing.
Yep. Intent to cut from map 21539, motion to approve,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Must be in favor, we all signed. Where are we on this one? Yield tax levy in the amount of $5,275.87. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have the minutes of our March 23rd Selectmen's meeting. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes of our March 30th meeting. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting of March 31st, minutes, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Another set of minutes for March 31st, 2017, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Non-public minutes from March 23rd, 2017, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Non-public minutes from meeting of March 30th, 2017, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have the MS 232 for 2017, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is that everything, Darlene, or did I miss something?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, our new business, Darlene.
I wasn't here yesterday, Dave, did that check come in? And I never thought to ask Kathy. You have it? Okay, there we go. So it's basically, you have to just approve or accept.
Motion to
the funds.
accept.
Yeah.
Motion to accept the funds from Tamworth Foundation.
Is it for the whole amount or just what we talked
Well,
about?
I mean, I can present it and then you can.
Okay.
can vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, can you, don't keep this, but pass it up forward. So on behalf of the Tamworth Foundation, I'm pleased to present a check to support the Police Advisory Committee, and it's the first of two checks
Okay.
to cover the listening session, so it's $650. There will be a second check when Chris's subcommittee on the survey actually gives us real estimates. I made him do a swag, but I told him that we would, when he figured out what the real amount is, that we'll.
All right, so we'll accept the $650 tonight, and we'll anticipate accepting more later on.
But I did have one other editorial comment. So the Tamworth Foundation's mission is to maintain and improve the spiritual, intellectual, social, and physical well-being of the inhabitants of Tamworth. And I can't think of anything that's more important than this Police Advisory Committee at this time. So I want to thank the town meeting for bringing it up, and I want to thank Chris for accepting the dubious honor, and all the people that have volunteered to do it. And I really want to express my gratitude for them, because I think it's really, really important, and we're proud to fund it and help in whatever way we can.
We appreciate the help of the foundation, Chris, and, obviously all the volunteers. It didn't take you long to get a crowd together, so that's a good thing. All right, make the motion to accept funds from the Tamworth Foundation for the Police Advisory Committee in the amount of $650 per RSA 3195B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I also want to thank you for doing that.
It's not in history.
It's written here, I couldn't screw that one up. Dave.
But I thank the town for handling that way.
Well, we go back and forth, but a lot of the stuff you suggest, it's good suggestions, so. Old business?
We
Not
did
really.
get a letter from
Yeah.
Attorney Sayer, but it just came in, so you guys haven't even read it yet,
Right.
so, we do have a copy of it. I have another email out to Sandwich.
Send it.
So
We're in good shape there.
still working on it.
All right, we'll move to public comment. We'll start with Willie, because you said you had something for us.
I do, and I've got a couple of quick ones, just yes and no answers, which is kind of, I'm sure you like. Has there been any further development on the town line issue between Tamworth and Sandwich?
No,
Irene's Way.
Yes.
we have some
There's
stuff.
a letter from the lawyer that just
Right.
came in,
We haven't
haven't
read
reviewed
that.
it yet.
Cool. You can pick up a copy.
So that's not really a yes or no, that's a maybe. We gotta see what we got in the letter.
I'll just forward it to you.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate that.
There's a bill in the legislature, but that made it out of the House this year, that, to do away with perambulation, or to, I believe it was amended in the House, but checking the bills, I
Did
don't
it
see.
start in Sandwich?
No. The description that I read cites some Massachusetts bills that says, when necessary, and the fact that Maine did away with their perambulation requirement in 2003, and Connecticut did away with theirs in, I don't know, 42 BC, but this bill's perennial, from what I gather, just from reading about it, but it never makes it out of the House, but it made it out of the House and is in the Senate, and I don't know, has been redirected to budget or not, but, with a little luck, as long as where we're sitting now is, we got at least half of it, I hope.
Yeah, okay.
Becky?
Do you wanna take a break, Willie, or you wanna keep firing?
No, I'll keep firing.
All right, we'll get you after Willie, if you're still awake.
The evaluation for CMI, has that been looked at by our assessor?
He hasn't. I don't know if he's done anything with it,
Thank you.
but he does have the information.
3 weeks to a month ago, I brought up the fact of the cash flow sheet. Has that been done? Is that possible yet?
You're gonna tell him what you decided? She doesn't know yet.
The, Is this the treasurer's participation?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The cash flow of money in, money out of the town.
Correct.
On a
The
quarterly basis, so we can see whether we've got money in the bank or don't have money in the bank.
It's been assigned to the treasurer. And has there been some training or some work done in getting it up and going?
On that?
Yeah,
No.
no, but there will be.
Okay, thank you. Now I go deeper, and I'm a little disappointed that there was not an opportunity for public comment before your discussion on the police cruiser being driven to and from Wolfboro. I do have some concerns about this. I've stated them in the past. I stated them at town meeting. The voters agreed that it was an inappropriate expenditure of money for the town. And so from January 1st to April 1st, I've looked at the police logs, I've looked at the call logs. I have tried to ascertain exactly what's been going on with the cruiser. And other issues pertaining to the police department. I was appalled, to say the least, to see that our police department doesn't work on Saturdays and Sundays. It seems that we start very early in the morning, 6:30. It's hard to tell by the police log whether it's starting in Wolfboro or starting in Tamworth. It's not clear by the call log whether he's in Tamworth or whether he's in Ossipee or where he might be when he signs on. I also did notice in the 3 months, there's not been one time that he's been called out from Wolfboro to come to the town of Tamworth to respond to a call. I'm concerned on his Thursdays that he starts early in the morning, and obviously he's here tonight at the selectmen's meeting, so it's going to be, well, if he started on at 6 this morning, we're looking at a 14-hour day right now. Why isn't that just adjusted so that he doesn't come in until a later time and work through the meeting? So I'm quite concerned about this scheduling. When you look at it on a spreadsheet of a calendar of a month, and you see that there's just no coverage on the weekends, and I would think that was when we might need some coverage. I also noticed that he's doing details for this opiate crisis with Granite Hammer, and I'm concerned as to, is the town billing for that? How is the billing going on that? What is the situation? Who approved that detail? Further, I'm concerned, in going through, I noticed that there were 8 days that he was at school or training, and we have a one-man department, and taking 8 days, which is basically 2 weeks, seeing as he works mainly 4 days a week. His Fridays are generally a court day or training. It's a concern to me that we're not having the coverage that we could have with a rotating schedule that mixes up a little bit, moves around. And I'd like to know who authorizes the details, and what is the rate for the detail person, and what is the rate for the car for that detail. And I'd also like to know what the trainings are, what classes are being taken, and who authorizes that, and how the decision was made to see if the training was necessary. And I'd also like to know, is he under a contract or is he under terms of general hire? And if he has a contract, I'd like to see it.
As far as I know, he does not.
And if there is a verbal agreement, I would like to hear and see the verbal agreement written down that he's signed, that that's the verbal agreement for his contract, for his work. Because I believe this cruiser should not be part of his compensation, any more than the gun he carries on his hip that belongs to the town of Tamworth is his compensation. It's property of the town of Tamworth.
I can answer some of them, Will.
Okay, thank you.
The Operation Granite Hammer, from the way I understand it, correct me, Greg, It's a hub grant that went to the sheriff's department from the state, and the sheriff's department divvied up the money to each town based on what the town's needs were. I think you got $1,500, the sheriff told me.
Something like that, yeah. They cut it up based on the size of the towns.
Yeah, so I think that we received $1,500, which is, but it's not a detail pay. And this is where I have a problem with it. I don't know if it was authorized or if you asked the board, because that was before my time. I don't know if you asked the board.
It
if
just
you
came
could-
through from the sheriff's department, so I did what every other town did and took the ball and tried to ask the
Where
board.
I disagree with it, like what you say, the pay is time and a half. It's considered overtime pay. It's not a detail pay. When the police department does a detail pay, you also are charging for the use of the cruiser. With this, it's just time and a half, and then the town gets the retirement part of it and the FICA part of it, but we get no reimbursement for the cruiser whatsoever. So there is no, so that's,
Can I ask a clarification
Yep.
question there? You said that the town gets the FICA portion and the social security, and the retirement portion?
Correct.
As well as
time and a
the
half.
time and a half pay,
Correct,
but zero for the cruiser.
correct.
So I would think that the Board of Selectmen would have to authorize this to be done because you're expending town funds to do this project.
I would think that.
And I'm just concerned. Again, it's an outlay of expense that, a moment ago you complained about the Chicago project having sideline expenses, here's another one. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry.
You're on the other side of the Chicago project, I realize, but.
No,
it
I'm
is
not
what-
saying the Chicago
Oh.
project was perfect,
No,
but the details and the stacks of paper can come up and bite you.
yes, they can.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dan.
Now you lost me. What else do we?
Well,
You got a whole
the
list of stuff,
detail of
yeah.
the car, so that was one of the answers. I thought you said you had a couple you could answer me about. The training. Authorize the training?
I can
What
tell
training is
you
this?
that we have addressed those issues earlier, and that's
As well as
being,
the schedule and
that's being worked on.
So, what were the trainings?
do you have a list there, Greg?
Might have it in the stats, yeah.
Yeah, you did list some of them.
We had
So I
some
went
of
to
them.
course on conducting internal investigations, a legal research and motion drafting class because I'm doing all the prosecution and I'm starting to get bombarded by defense attorneys with motions, so I want to know how to handle those properly. And I'm managing governmental employees class.
Okay, I have 8 trainings that you did from January 1st to April.
I only have the ones from
You
this
just have
month,
the
but,
March. Yeah.
for last month rather.
There was 4 last month, there's 3 this month, there was 1 in the month of January. I'm just concerned, I think that's something that the Board of Selectmen should be, I mean, when Darlene decides to go for a class for update, she asks the Board of Selectmen, is it appropriate, can I go take this course? I'm concerned, and I mean, I'm not blaming you, Greg, I'm directing this at the Board of Selectmen because they are your supervisors.
Yeah.
They should
And
I-
handle-
again,
can
to
tell you,
reiterate
I'm-
Dan's point, we've discussed these issues with Greg prior to the meeting. So we are taking steps on both ends here to see where things are at.
And I can address a couple of the issues if, I don't know if I'm open to.
Go for it.
As far as the training, I signed up for the training, they didn't cost the town anything, I did them for the benefit of the town. One of the classes I could think of was bleeding controlled for the injured. These are all things that are gonna be helpful for all of you and myself. So it's for injured officers, people injured on crash scenes, how to control bleeding and things like that. I took a leadership course because I'm a supervisor, well, hopefully when we build the department up, if that's the way we go, I will be, to whatever degree that might be. So I took these things to better the department and the town.
And I appreciate your effort to do that. My problem is that we have a one-man department. And when you say it didn't cost the town anything for you to take these classes, in fact, it did because you were on duty when you took these classes, therefore we paid you to go to these classes. It took you out of service for the town patrolling the town, doing things in the town. So I feel that it does cost the town something for you to go to these trainings.
Well,
Not
I
that the
meant,
training
I meant
itself
it didn't
costs
cost
money.
any additional cost. A lot of the classes you go to cost $300 to $1,000, so these were ones I went through the state.
Could I, the cruiser was stipulated at the time of hire, was questioned as to purpose and necessity, and that question was answered. And that question was answered. I don't know if that answer pertains now or will pertain following the advisory committee's report, which is why I voted to not make that decision tonight. I agree that the cruiser should stay in town, but we've got a Band-Aid, you know, we're treading water here on keeping stuff together and having a presence in town and response by local officer until we put this together, and although it's not the best way to do it, I believe that the majority of errors made in the last year and a half concerning the police department can be traced to a lack of information, a lack of accurately interpreted information, and precipitous decisions, which we should have taken our time on, which I should have taken my time on, and I didn't.
And I appreciate that. It's, still nonetheless, at one point, the cruiser was removed, then it went back. You know, if it's terms of his employment, that won't change in May, if it's terms of his employment.
That,
As far as when,
yeah.
sorry, can I stay?
Sure.
Okay. As far as when it was removed back, August or whenever it was, a lot of that's run together for me here. You know, at that time we had 2 officers on the force, both were living out of town. To try to curb the cost, address the concerns from the townspeople, I'd made the motion, and I think it was you that voted with me, and pulled it off. Then it was put back into going back and forth to Wolfboro when Greg became the sole officer, and at this point in time, we're still with the sole officer. That's why I'm not inclined to make a change. I understand the request at town meeting, and, you know, I'll go along with the fact that you can imply that everybody who voted for that $2,000 cut in the fuel line was exclusively for limiting the travel to Wolfboro, but I'm not so sure. Some people didn't just vote because they liked the idea of cutting a couple grand out of the budget. But again, to sort of echo Steve's sentiment, right now, I don't think now is the time to make that change. We're sort of Band-Aid, and I know you've got your call log in front of you that says there were no call-outs in the last 3 months. But from the standpoint of if he has the cruiser now, is the only one who's on the force, there's the potential that it could get him to a call quicker rather than stopping at the PD, pick up the cruiser and go out. Not a perfect solution, but it's where we're at now.
My point is, in 3 months, that has not happened. And in looking at the call log, you get sign-ons somewhere between 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. Signs on. Generally, it's signed off by 5 o'clock at night. Except for now with this granite hammer, there's a 6 o'clock sign-off. So he's coming out early in the morning, working an 8-hour shift, and then working a 4-hour under granite hammer.
And again, I come back to, you know, what I think all 3 of us have said at this point. We've addressed the shifts that Cooper's been working, Sergeant Cooper, I'm just calling by last name, and look to see changes moving forward to try to, you know, get different coverage and different hours covered.
Okay. And another thing that I'm gonna say is a safety concern for the liability of the town and for the safety of Officer Cooper would be that knowing where you are when you're on or off is very critical and important, especially in the litigious society we live in today.
Mhm.
And there are several times where he signs on and that's it. There's no sign off or anything else. And I presume when you call in by phone, they put phone, signed off, unassigned, having lunch, whatever you're doing. but the call logs don't show any daily activity. They show oftentimes when you stop cars, especially under Granite Hammer, because I'm sure that's part of the requirements of the issue. But for protection of yourself as well as the town, I would think it would be good to know I'm off at the PD, or I'm off at the store, or where I am. And I don't, whether you log this somewhere else and the sheriff logs it somewhere else, I don't know. But I know when I was a dispatcher at the sheriff's department, we knew where everybody was all the time for their safety and for the liability for them. And I think it's really important.
That does happen. I call in everywhere I go.
So it must be on a different log sheet then.
I don't know. I called in dispatch that I'll be in this building for the meeting. If I go to a call, I call off that I'm there. I don't know what you're referring to.
Well, your call sheets, which I have here, you signed on this particular day is a Thursday. 6:21, no patrol. 6:48, on duty. 9:52, comment, at PD with New Hampshire State Police. 14:23, on duty. 15:38, out of the area, comment, OSPI. 16:03, on duty. 16:04, no patrol. 16:27, unassigned.
Now, how they write things in their dispatch is not up to me. But if I leave here to go to district court, I say I'm 10-1 no patrol, which means I'm still on duty, but I'm heading to court in Ospey. So however they write that is not my
You do a
doings.
patrol log?
I keep a log for myself, yeah.
Do you, when you call in at home, is that your starting your workday?
No, if I sign on 10-1 no patrol, that means
I know what that means, but are you counting that towards your
these people
hours?
don't know. No, I don't. So
When do your hours start that you're?
when I get to the town line and when I leave the town line, unless there's something in between. So I've read the logs because I get them every day, and they don't make sense to me the way that they either it gets inputted, but
Right, well, I also go to the activity log and look at the activity log, which gives, if there's a medical call, it says medical call, motor vehicle complaint, whoever, and it shows who covers the calls, so I mean.
yeah. And are you saying that I'm not on the logs because I'm on every call I go to?
No, I'm not saying that you're not on the log. I mean, there's calls here that you're not on, particularly because you may be somewhere else. Somebody else is covering the call because you're in court, or it's Sunday, or whatever.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, here's your opioid detail. This is you calling in the cars, but it doesn't say anything of, I'm off at the store, or I'm fueling up, or whatever conversation you might be having with the sheriff's department. We kept a detailed log when I was there. You knew right where they were and everything, and they may have changed the system. They may have changed the system, I don't know. That was a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure things are different, but as far as all those little things, like refueling and stuff, we don't call that in. It'd be too much for
I was
for
using
those
that as an
dispatches. Yeah.
example.
But if I respond to a call or I make a motor vehicle stop or, a follow-up or something,
Yeah,
that should be in there. I call it all in.
yeah. Okay, well,
But Sergeant Cooper, you get the log every day.
Yeah.
You should, so if you review the log and it's not spelled out correctly what you did, you call dispatch and say, or have you ever talked to the sheriff and say, they're not putting down what I'm telling them, because everything you do should be documented in that
Yeah,
log.
as far as I know, it's documented. I mean, a lot of
Like, let me
times-
ask you a question. Not to say, last night, were you working a detail?
Yes.
Were you on the road at 6 o'clock?
6 p.m.?
Yes.
What was yesterday? Wednesday?
Yeah.
I did a detail for, I think, 3 hours. So from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., yeah.
Okay, because in between you and me, and I got a call last night saying that they saw the Tamworth cruiser going up over, what is it, Newman Drew Road by Whittier,
Yeah,
wanting to know why the cruiser was going into Ospey. Said I had no idea. So just for giggles, I called dispatch, and I said, is there a Tamworth officer on? Because a lot of times people, and they've done it to me, they'll see the Ospey cruiser that looks like the Tamworth, especially
Right.
the Freedom cruiser. I said, it's gotta be the Ospey cruiser, not Tamworth. No, it was Tamworth. I saw it was 231. I said, well, he's not even driving 231. I thought he was driving 232. And they said, nope, it was 231 Tamworth cruiser. So I said, well, that's strange. Maybe you got a part-time person from Ospey that's working with us. So I called dispatch, and I said, is there a Tamworth officer on? They said, no, there's no Tamworth officer on.
what time did you call them?
6 o'clock.
That's when I was signing off. So the detail went from like 2:55 to just before 6, or right around 6. So that was the detail, or not detail, the shift.
Okay, what I was trying to make the point is, I'm not challenging, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
say, maybe dispatch isn't, there's maybe a breakdown between you and dispatch. And when you review the logs in the morning, which you should get, if there's a breakdown, you need to have that fixed.
Yeah. I didn't look at the particulars of the times. I know when I worked and I logged it, so.
I mean, it's a,
But for
it's a
sure.
it's a cover your butt.
Oh yeah, and
You
if
know,
they're
I mean-
shorting me statistics, then I don't want that to happen. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, but I mean, you should see that every day. Because the first thing you should do is review your log
Yeah.
that you. And
I
you
do,
should
but
be
I
able-
don't go over to match up times to when I actually stop somewhere. I just assume that they did it the right way.
You probably should, it would lessen Willie's questions.
I'll confess to lack of due diligence in the supervision of this department for a variety of reasons. First and foremost was, although I have asked questions of the sheriff and gotten information back about what should be happening, et cetera. And thanking him for the assistance that he's given us and the rest. But one of the reasons due diligence has been lacking is, I don't wanna speak for my brother here, but at least I had little or no technical knowledge of how police departments work. The only cops I ever worked with were working a second job in the sun and the sand, and things were very different. But as Jim says, we picked up on some of the things that were in town, and I don't wanna tell tales out of school, but I believe that our due diligence and our responsibility to the employee and our information gathering and correcting any deficiencies, I don't know about deficiencies, but taking up any concerns and possible solution is far greater and more solidly in place than it was at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
And I think it's just a matter of communication. I think if we have an open communication, I think that there's not gonna be any issues.
And I will say, I'm not trying to get
Oh,
rid
yeah.
of a
Oh,
police
yeah,
department.
no, I know.
You know I'm a stickler with a lot of things, and, you know, budget's one of them. I mean, we're running a hard time in this town trying to keep our heads above water with our taxes. So every time that money's not spent appropriately, it bothers me. When it looks like it's not being spent appropriately, it bothers me. And I realize that the Board of Selectmen has now changed. You did have it with one person being the liaison between all the departments.
And I think
And it's
this
all
situation is gonna
three
help
of
a
your
lot.
responsibility. It's not one person's responsibility, because as you know, you get back 1/3 of the right information, and about 2/3 of what they think they want you to know.
And I agree with everything you said, and I think that we're on board, because I was just as shocked as you were, you know, with the hours that were being worked and that the training and then I asked the other selectmen if they knew what was going on, if it was approved, and they didn't. And I don't think it should be that way. I think there should be an open communication, that we should know what the hours that you're working. I don't think that that's public information. I don't think that that should be put out. But I think that if you're going to change your schedule, I think that it should be brought to our attention, so at least we know, and we can say, yeah, we were aware of it, or no, we weren't aware of it.
To one of us. Because if it's the two of us,
You can tell all three of them.
But isn't that public information if we
No.
receive it?
They can tell you on Tuesday, you on Wednesday, and you on Thursday.
Right, he catches you at the Lyceum getting your 14th cup of coffee, he catches Dan
It's here.
going out of town,
Or,
I
or
stopped
you
by the
can,
PD.
you can come in here and say, I've changed my schedule up.
Give us the
You know,
papers.
if he gives it to you, then it is public, but I don't think anybody's gonna go, I want that.
Yeah, because I don't think that the town needs to know that. But I think we because technically speaking, we're like, for lack of better, the chief, you know what I'm saying?
We're the supervisor.
We're the
Yeah,
supervisors,
That's what we are.
so,
And again, the answers may not be as quick as everybody wants, but we are taking strides to fix everything and make some changes and corrections.
And as you know, I'll come in and make my
I'll tell you what,
comments known, so
one of the
that
best
they
things-
air
You've
them
always
out.
been so shy with it,
I
it's
know.
hard to know where we stand.
one of the, I've interrupted Becky
I was
Mason
gonna say,
9
we gotta let Becky
times.
talk.
That's all right, I'll be asleep in a minute. I've got 3 questions. One is, because I did watch the commissioners' meeting, on Wednesday, and I just wanna make sure, this town has not requested extra patrols
Correct.
from the sheriff's department.
correct.
That's what I want, cause I know we didn't, but I wanna make it good known.
We've not asked
that
for
we have
anything
not
or
asked for
expected
any
anything.
extra patrols, so we're right up there with Chatham and Hart's location, we haven't asked for
And-
anything more.
You know, I kept my mouth shut, but I think that he overstepped his authority. I don't think that he has any right to dictate to the town or to any town how big our police department should be, and Dominic is obligated by law to respond to a call if it happens in Tamworth and we don't have anybody. So he cannot say, Sheriff Riccardi, I don't want you responding to Tamworth for any more calls unless they pay us for that call. They can't do that.
Right.
That's why we pay county
Well,
taxes.
and I know that,
Yeah.
and
But I understand it fully. If we said to Dominic, we want a direct patrol, Sergeant Cooper's not gonna be working Friday. Can you send somebody down here for 8 hours to cover Sergeant Cooper's shift? If we do that, 100%, we're obligated to pay
well,
them.
I just wanted to make sure, because there was the comments, if you go back through the tapes of the Tamworth meetings and sitting here, there were comments made that, you know, I'm going to be out, so I let the sheriff's department know.
Correct.
That does not mean
No,
It doesn't
I've
mean we're
requested
asking
extra
for
patrols, and I just wanted everybody to know that that was.
That's common
'cause
courtesy.
You know,
Again,
it'll
you know,
get
Dan
down the other
hit the
end of
nail
the
on the
county
head.
in a little bit,
It's
but-
not the county's place to tell us how big a department we have. We could have 9 officers, they could potentially all be gone and the sheriff's department would respond. I mean, I kind of feel like the
Well,
commissioners
and
are
I
looking
keep
for a
saying,
problem
there were
that's
a
not
few
there.
years ago that we, well, it's been 10 or 20 years now, that we actually
That's a
shut
few.
down because we had an issue and we shut the department down for a couple of years and then revamped. My second question is, I'm confused, are you associating a letter of employment as a contract for employment?
You know,
Have a
You're,
contract with
well, but Steve
No.
keeps saying
I-
that the offer included the car. Are you saying that that offer for employment was a contract for employment?
no,
Okay, because I'm confused, because an offer of employment can be changed right after it's signed.
correct.
A contract cannot, so that's why I
Correct.
was
But
wanting
to change,
clarification
but to
on that.
change that offer of employment after the fact, without consulting the employee, I think is,
Oh, I agree, you give
is
warning of
rude at
change,
best
but
and-
that's a courtesy, that's not a mandate.
I also
It's
think
still-
it's fair labor, procedure.
I just
to-
wanna
to
make
do
sure
that.
we didn't have contracts, cause I heard you say we didn't have any contract, but then you kept referring to the
Correct.
offer of employment you couldn't change. And my third question is, did I miss something on the website or posting or something, because I didn't see any non-public meeting posted for tonight. And the
It
way you
was on the
guys,
top of the agenda,
what agenda?
the one that's on the website.
Right.
There wasn't an agenda on the website too, when I brought it up.
Yeah, there is. It was
It
there.
was,
Yeah,
okay.
it was there.
What's the agenda under then, agendas then, because it's
Yeah.
not connected, okay. Cause last I knew we weren't putting agendas on, so.
No, I've been putting them on since I started.
Okay,
Yeah, we talked Darlene into doing it a while ago.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause it hadn't.
We're getting efficient faster, you guys can keep up.
Yeah, I know. That's all my
Okay.
questions were.
Hey, you know what,
Can I, one of the
You
three
wanna-
best thing that's happened in the last few months is, we were worried that the video camera was gonna have people sitting at home not showing up. And, the whole thing about changing the time of the meeting and having a few issues in town, one or two, has brought people into the meeting, and invariably, I mean, now it's every single week where you pick up something, and it would seem to me that democracy works better when folks come in and, what about this, what about this, and what about this, and so, you know, I'll tell you, it's an awful lot more fun, even when I'm guilty, which is frequent. It's a better time, you know, you feel better about having folks come in and, or poke you in the chest on the street to say something, which has drastically increased in the last few months.
Right, even if it's something we don't wanna hear, it's best for us to hear it and get it out and go back and forth, and it makes everything a lot better. I know, Willie, you think that we cringe when we see it at the meeting, but we don't.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, you do.
Hey,
Now, almost 8:30.
Can I bring up a point to remind us for next Thursday when Glenn was here? I was supposed to bring up with Glenn, there's been a lot of chatter on the exchange about streamline, single stream recycling.
Yep, and he's looked into this. There's a couple of issues that Glenn feels very strongly about. One is pay as you throw, but politically he feels that it's gonna be pretty tough to get in this town without a huge education thing, although he believes that would drastically increase the recycling. And I believe that too, you know, if you take the trash bag full of aluminum cans in any transfer station and you throw it in the compressor, it costs you $5 to get that hauled, and another $5 that you didn't get when you think, I mean, every single bag costs you $10. The bottles cost you more. Not much of a market for glass right now, but there's some market, and the most expensive ways to do it is to, anyway, he believes in pay as you throw, and he's investigated single stream. The difficulty with single stream is on the other end, where the stream goes, is manual labor, which makes single stream exceedingly expensive in our part of the world. There are parts of the world where a great deal of that's done by equipment, and it's not robotics, but it's, you know, where they can, plastic especially is difficult because of the different grades, where they can get that done. But I believe that if Glenn had his way, if they were gonna, if the town was gonna invest in some major equipment for the transfer station, number one would be balers, because if you can do that, the pull of the cardboard, et cetera, is you get more money back. And the second one would be scales, construction demolition. But single stream, Tufton Borough.
Sandwich does it, Effingham does it.
Tufton Borough, I think, does it.
Tufton Borough doesn't.
Tufton Borough does not, then one of those borough with ample assessed valuation to pay for the thing has recently gone there. Interestingly enough, Meredith, which is a major, I mean,
There's a lot of trash.
they milk every buck out of, you know, tomato seeds or something. I believe that they investigated and didn't, but I should check on that too.
Can we just make a note to talk with
I did, yeah, I will.
Glenn
The next
about
meeting?
that? Yeah, the next meeting.
We've talked to him, and it's been, what, a couple of years since the last time we discussed that with Glenn, but he hasn't brought it up with us, so.
Because there's a lot of chatter, and
Yeah.
I guess the original response was that we're too small of a town for it, and, you know, Sandwich has it, and we're bigger than Sandwich, so how can Sandwich have it?
Because no matter what they're talking about money, that's why. I don't know.
Quick comment, kind of input for you. If you're gonna be looking over the schedule as far as the police department goes, can you really make a valiant effort to put some thought into the school and just the presence there? The mornings, I see it on and my child's not a walker, but in the mornings I see small children walking. Granted, we do have a crosswalk now, it doesn't quite work out so well, and we don't have the luxury of having sidewalks. So, but in the afternoons, we have a lot of kids, and with the weather changing and with a lot of the different sports programs that are coming up, it is going to at least triple, if not more than that, the amount of children that I think is our number one, you know, asset for Tamworth, for our future. I mean, if that could just be taken into consideration.
I can tell you that Sergeant Cooper is doing his best
Yeah.
from talking with him.
Mhm.
And bear in mind, it's only him.
Right.
And there could be other calls that are going on at the same time that the school is going on. And now that we want him to break up his schedule so that, you know, he's working weekends, that he's working nights, that, you know, he's varying it so that he's out at all different times, not a set schedule. So I'm sure that he will take it into consideration when he's out there working. For
Right,
sure,
no,
that
that's
is,
encouraging,
always-
and
yeah.
I just wanted to say, you know,
But that is a
You know,
good
we'll
point,
sit here
'cause
and-
the
and
snow
talk
will melt,
about
the kids will
snow
start
removal
going
on
in
the
large
sidewalk.
groups over to
Yeah.
the rec field.
I make my best effort to be there, you know, and I like Dan just said, I can't be everywhere at once, but that's very important to me, so.
in the afternoons.
Yep, I try to do both morning and afternoons.
And do you mix up where you sit? Because
Well,
if
I'm
you
limited
can,
now because of the snow and stuff like that, but when
but
that
cars
stuff's
are
gone.
parking there anyways, and then it's that itself, because of the amount of snow too, I understand the parking lot at the school, you're limited, it's winter. But, even if shifting to the other end of the school where the crosswalk is, I mean, our crosswalk is on one side, the sign is on on another,
Yeah,
and
typically
I mean,
when that's amount of snow isn't there, I try to park right by the crosswalk.
yeah, just fix it, that's all I'm saying,
yeah.
is, you know, it, just making people aware.
Keep the cruiser visible. Becky?
Have we ever gone back to the school? I mean, no offense, we pay twice as much in school taxes as we do in town taxes. Have we gone back to the school and said, can you not get a crossing guard out there from the school?
I got it.
Because Conway does it, you know, Pine Tree does it, they all have a crossing guard that goes out, and with their stop sign, most people obey that.
Peggy's retiring in June.
Don't give her my award. But I mean, again, because you have sports coming up, we're on a
We'll get you a
limited
vest if you
basis
wanna do
right
it.
now.
Not a problem.
With the school not be able to get the
And
kids
the
through
sign.
at least spring until something's decided in the town. that's what
I
that
thought
police
that
department.
mostly it's volunteers,
I
isn't it?
think we have an
And
answer.
The one up in Conway, I believe, is a paid position on the school.
You want my belt?
And with that being said, I've never even, I've never even gone to the PTA or anything, I had just thought of it because I was
Yeah, I
here
mean,
tonight,
can you bring
so-
it up to the PTA? Because I don't see nothing wrong, because I know that major towns, as a matter of fact, they were just talking about this, 90-year-old lady that just retired after doing it for 60 years, whatever. God bless her.
I got a chance to talk to the principal about this 3.5 months ago, 4 months ago. One of the residents on the south end of Tamworth Road at Butler's Bridge, close to Butler's Bridge, brought that up, phone call to a bunch of us who wrote the letter. Subsequently had a petition for a ton of people all the way up and to Five Corners and beyond. And Selectman Roberts suggested that we get a hold of Mark McConkey, because we were talking to him about some transportation money anyway. And he came up with somebody from, you know, that state road, somebody from District 3 to talk about traffic calming, that no passing lane in front of, the passing lane in front of his house and
Post office,
and
Remick
Remick, crazy, the crazy way it's laid out. The speed limits, they're supposed to do that. And he was waiting on response from District 3. The week of March 6th, I happened to see him the week before that at a meeting in Albany, and he said that our case had been joined by Freedom and Eaton, same situation. Increased speed, increased phone, you know, like it's a perfect storm. Black clothes are in and dark colors, and the kids are walking, and Eaton and Freedom are very concerned too. So he's taken all three of them to District 3. They decide on the speed limit signs and the blinkers, although on petition, they will, you know, I assume they'll put something in. We're waiting on decisions on what they advise and are willing to do. For instance, they say to put in the side, the crosswalk, but they also say where it should go. But it didn't go from Five Corners to Butler Bridge, almost so, the sidewalk, you know, diagonally, the whole, no, I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay.
That,
You're trying to picture in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, thanks.
but I mean,
You can't keep up with
it's
speed.
pretty close to that. Anyway, the principal said that at closing time, not during sports season, not during hang around in school and do a project, that there's always an extra adult because of the kids that go across the street to bear camp. And there's a number of cars, unfortunately, that park on both sides, not unfortunately, of Durrell Road. And on at least one side there is, you know, he tries to be out there, he tries to have our faculty out there. But I think that idea is,
I mean, no offense, in Conway, you sit for 20 minutes outside the middle school now when
All the
school
buses
gets
go,
out, because all
yeah.
30 buses have to go up to the high school.
and
And that's a
private
state
car.
highway where they're paying someone with a stop sign to come out and stop
Right,
traffic.
I have an idea the school's paying that bill, and
I know, but we pay
Yeah.
good taxes here to the school, so it'd
Sure.
be nice to see somebody out there with a stop sign.
Yeah, I mean, to sort of back up what Steve's saying, Mark has done a real good job
Yeah,
looking
I
into
realize.
this, and, you know, he's done a good job on a lot of other stuff for us, but, I mean, that was what we had approached Mark with, is see if we couldn't do away with the passing zone and, you know, try to drop the speed on one
And
thirteen
don't
as
you
well.
have a couple of little green pedestrians you can stick down there for a while to slow people down?
Those
I mean,
things
they may
from
get ran
Farmers
over,
Market.
but,
somebody could lay those out 8 minutes before school gets out.
well, I mean, by the post office and stuff where we have our other issues, is you could put those out, but if you could have an adult there, I mean, to have an adult allow children to cross from the one field to the rec field, at least if something happened, they wouldn't, you wouldn't have to worry about some kid trying to run back into school saying somebody's been hit in the middle of the road.
You know, cell phones?
You know, they don't know how to use this for 911 though.
A crossing guard's a good thing, we should look into it some more. I mean, I'm spoiled, my kid goes across the road morning and afternoon, but it's with the bear campers, so there's always somebody with a sign out there flagging them down.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is there is an adult typically, but
It's
it's
for
bear
that one
camp.
purpose.
And they're going to get their students
That's
there,
right.
and then she has other, you know,
Right.
she heads
So
right
just to have
back.
somebody there the whole length of the bus, I mean, no offense, just like watching the buses go out, those kids cut out across, if they're walking or something, the poor bus driver can't see them as well.
And
Just-
the bikes are gonna be coming out.
Right, just to
which-
have an adult there that's holding the bikes back until the buses get out and just keeping it safe.
What I find disappointing is that we're having this conversation here. Why isn't the school and the school department addressing this? And it's must be their area.
Probably because we're more receptive to the people.
Thank you.
Well, no, I mean, that's not crapping on
No, I'm
anybody,
not
but
being-
people say that all the time.
That
You know,
sounds
that's not really
sarcastic,
our,
it wasn't meant to be.
it's not necessarily our thing, but people say all the time, it's easy to talk to the Board of Selectmen. We don't always give them the answer they want, but they say that we're easy to talk to, so.
The principal is, I can tell you the principal is legitimately concerned, has met with neighbors, has met with folks with and without children in that area, and encourages them to, you know, come up with ideas and you know, that, it's a different world than it was 3 years ago. In the summer, everybody comes up, 113's on almost everybody, and you know, it's not just the out-of-staters, it's us too. They're on the phone, or they're on the hands-free, which is equally distracting. And around the school, you know, you already have a run and stop because nobody makes a wide left onto Butler's Bridge. Everybody's tight to the wrong side of the road, and
That's why I pull up the white line to make them slow down.
yeah, I guess.
I'm helping you out, Greg, you just don't know it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
As you say, nobody speeds in Moultonborough. Nobody speeds in front of Moultonborough School. Nobody, zero. Once one person did, but he was from Utah. I don't know where he's from. And the answer there is enforcement. There's a Memorial Day, tickets are fluttering through the air. And we all learn our lesson, it's not malicious, it's just we need the reminder. And seeing the guy ahead of us get the ticket is, or the warning or whatever is good for all of us. But you can't be everywhere, you know, it'll give,
Well, if we had 25 people like they do, we could be everywhere, right?
Absolutely. And you wouldn't be doing prosecution by yourself either.
Yeah, right.
Right, do we have any other,
About that,
okay.
there's a lot, we here at LRPC and Mount Washington Valley stuff, all kinds of, like, here is a grant that your town can get to put I'm saying this off the word, to put sidewalks in for kids to get to school, for bikes, walkers, whatever. And I know that David Bowles from the TAC committee, worked on that and tried to get something here. And yes.
And we're gonna have to shovel.
We have to what?
We're gonna have to shovel it.
Right, see, that's what Pat's using, he's using the wrong term, we want shoulders.
Right.
Shoulders the state takes care of. So I'm thinking we could take care of the Shakor project by just mowing the sidewalks down. If they're flat, it's a shoulder, and the state will maintain it.
if anybody's interested in what she's saying, I'm going to Wolfboro Town Hall tomorrow from 1 to 3. Speaking of knowing nothing about anything, when Lakes Region Planning Commission is talking to people who know something about grant writing, about the Northern Borders grant, and I think they got at least $250,000 sitting around, and so if you're interested, let's go down and listen to them. I have no idea how to write a grant, but I'm hoping that there'll be somebody down there that I can contact.
The problem is that usually there's a lot of grants will ask for matching funds. And you can negotiate whether it's 50-50 or 80-20 or whatever. But in other words, our situation in Tamworth, I'm just talking Tamworth, it seems as though even if they gave you the money, which they gave the money to Shakora, by the way, even if they gave you the money to say, here, let's do something safe for you, here's the money, build some sidewalks so these kids can walk and ride their bike and whatever, then it sort of feels like you'd say, I won't say a bad word now, but we don't want that because we'd have to plow it.
That's why we ask for shoulders, not sidewalks.
Dave Bowe's thing was, you know,
To
to
get
pretend
the
bricks in
shoulders
Chicago? You know, the thing, like at G3,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
painted
yeah.
red?
You have to pretend bricks, I know.
That was what Dave Bowles worked on, that state grant. And then, they said, and that was gonna be shoulders wide enough and clearly delineated so kids could walk to school and maybe ride their bikes too. And push a baby carriage, you know, mom could take a
Yeah.
baby carriage, dad could take.
kids should
The
be
state said, oh, you know that grant, by the way, sorry, we're not gonna do that anymore. Pulled the rug out from under them. And our town meeting voted for that several years in a row.
All I'm gonna say, it's not so much the grant writing, because grant writing you can do. Unfortunately, we learned from the Chicago project, it's to read the grant thoroughly before it's
To
accepted.
know what we're getting.
Because, again, Steve, you and I have this debate, the taxpayers were told this ain't gonna cost us nothing.
Absolutely.
And here we're paying $600-700 a month for electricity and I'm sorry, but there are people that live in Chicago that are not part of the Chicago Lake Association. It went through the town, when she said she's got $800 every month of, $800 for her association fees, I'm sorry that not everybody belongs to that association, but that association is directing how that area is going. And I agree with Dan, turn off the lights. Most of us lost our street lights that were protecting kids at bus stops and stuff. But the Chicago Village is lit up like a landing pad.
I want to answer that. We all sat around at a meeting over at the other building when we used to meet over there, and Peter, is it Peter? Mm-hmm. Peter Smart. He made a great presentation. He said, I don't know, it was like $10 per pole or something to make, but everybody wants them to be dimmed, like dim, save a lot of money. But then where did that go? Nothing. It didn't happen. But there is a wish to bring those lights down. There was an answer of how you do it, and he had all the answers of here's the
Right,
thing.
and where we ran into was where it was a federal grant project. We had to make sure it was appropriate people that were doing it, and there's been a few other things that have come up in the last year and a half or so. So it's not that we've given up on it, it's just.
And, but I just wanted to make it clear, that it isn't as though those of us who do live in Shikarawa, it isn't as though we don't want them to be dimmed, or we're trying to like milk the town. But I guess the thing that I find interesting is that people forget that Tamworth is encompassing all of these areas. It's all Tamworth. And so we're all in this together. It isn't like there's Shikarawa and there's Tamworth. It's all of us together. And frankly, I'm guessing, 50, 30,000, whatever, cars go down Route 16. And the reason the Shikarawa Village project happened is because people were going so fast. It's the only village between Boston, or wherever, no, between where Route 16 Spalding Turnpike starts and North Conway, or Conway. It's the only village that any of these cars go through. So therefore, they're zipping along everywhere. And all of a sudden, they're in a place where it's a real village. The lights were kind of, okay, let's indicate this is a village by having lights and whatever. But I just wanted to
You know, I
defend it a
understand
little
what the
bit.
intent was, but the unfortunate thing is, I don't think those lights have slowed anybody down.
No.
Now they just try to get through faster, cause it's so bright it turns your automatic headlights on and off.
The
My
last-
intent, my intent.
That
was-
might have been on camera, Pat.
My comment wasn't directed at the Shikarawa Village per se. My comment is when you receive a grant, you need to have a committee sit down of a number of people to read the grant to see what it's gonna cost the town. Because every time somebody tries to hand you money, 5 years down the road, it's gonna
Chris,
cost
would
you
you like
money.
to, when the police advisory committee's run its course, would it become the GAC, the Grant Advisory Committee, and you can just keep right on going? Same as I told Bruno, we're gonna start an old home week, he did such a good job with the 250 celebration, we're never gonna let him off a committee here. He's just gonna migrate.
Aren't you supposed to say that when he falls asleep?
I thought he was asleep.
The last issue
I heard that, you know.
about the lights was a member of the Chicago Community Association was researching information on the amount that you're allowed to dim those lights and the number of lumens, or whatever they are, that have to be hit in the ground, which is mysterious because, but that information, the person was gonna investigate that and because our reaction would have been put them down and.
But it wasn't cheap either. When he did that presentation at the townhouse, it wasn't cheap to
No.
dim those lights.
Right.
Again, we're paying for it.
Correct, but part of that is you can only use a contractor to do that. You know, we can't put Joe Bag of Donuts on a ladder and say, go up and do that, even though it's our property and our maintenance.
Again, it wasn't gonna be cheap.
I would like to make a comment about the Chicago project. I was on the Board of Selectmen at the time that was approved, I believe.
Yeah, you were.
Well, I'm just trying to remember because there was a lot of process in that, and it was not simple. It was a big project. And had we known at the signing probably that the sidewalks were going to have to be cleared, we probably wouldn't have done it. But I will say, we did do it, as obvious, and it has many benefits that we do receive that are worth something. One of them is controlling the runoff off the road. It doesn't go right into Chicago River. There's a catch basin there. I can remember my sister was hit in an accident right there because you could never see when you come out from 113 onto 16 because Joe Natale's building was there and all the cars were parked in front of it and the post office was in front of it. You couldn't see north and people were zipping south. So there's some safety features that have increased there, and yeah, we're gonna have to pay to shovel the walks. That's gonna be the bottom line. Like it or not, that's what's gonna have to happen. And, you know, maybe we can dim the lights. I think there are more lights that are necessary there. And I was also on the Board of Selectmen when we shut off some street lights. A lot of street lights we shut off because nobody was around. And they burned all night long. And we had a public hearing on it. We asked people's input. And if somebody really came up with a good reason why we shouldn't shut the light off, we didn't. I would've shut the one off in front of your garage.
I know, and Dad made the point that it's a
That-
blind corner,
It's a
there's a
blind
lot of
corner,
people that go
and
all
I
hours
disagree, I
of
got a
the night.
blind corner in front of my house.
We can put a light up there if you'd like.
You do, I'm gonna shoot it out.
For every one we take down there, we can put 2 more up.
And the
Cause
other
it's kinda
issue
back over
on,
towards Union Hall too.
on the street lights is, we've got several street lights here that are out, we pay for them, whether they're running or not. Pay a monthly
I
fee.
thought that, the one by Remick,
I think there are 2 right here in town. The other issue is the state of New Hampshire come along and they'll put up a pole, and they'll put a light on it, and say, send the bill to the town of Tamworth, and you can't shut it off. So there's another good deal for you.
You're full of good stuff.
Well, it's the one down on 25, you come out right by Kennebec Lumber there, and one of those is out. And we're paying for it.
not anymore,
You know, we're paying for it.
not anymore,
Yes, you are.
it's out.
No, you're paying
You
for
pay
it,
a
whether it's
fee.
burning or not.
It's a flat rate.
It's a flat rate, you pay for
Oh, that's not usage?
it. Not at all.
Stop disabled.
If it was, we'd have a lot of pop guns around town.
Would
They'll
you,
be
would you
waiting.
make a note that we have somebody threatened to 22 the,
Promise her.
He's got it.
Pop
it's the
gun.
only
Yeah,
time
great,
I've
you
ever
can use the
heard,
video as
What time
evidence.
is it?
it's the only time I've ever heard anybody over 15 years of age threaten to do that.
What, with a pop gun?
Not a pop, streetlights, used to be.
No, you shut them off with a flashlight.
Yeah, right.
We do what we know.
Anyway,
Okay. All right. Feeling
Just thought I
that
ought to put my
we
two
apparently have
cents in.
exhausted public comment, we do have a non-public we have to deal with, and we'll adjourn after that. So I'll make a motion to go into non-public under RSA.
You already had your non-public.
There's a different non-public.
That was a pre-
We're gonna have one for extracting you from the town, you know. RSA 91A32C.
No.
Aye,
You get a second first, Steve.
second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Even
Aye.
with this,
Oh.
and 184.
In case I'm missing.